views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's great to have all of you tune us in and turn us on. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about today's show, but before I jump right into it, I want to say hi, Mr. B.
What up?
How you be today?
It'll be good. Start of the week. Shaping up to be a good one.
Yeah. You know what? I ate too much peanut butter over the weekend.
I dare ask why?
Every once in a while I get in a mood. You ever get like a craving for some people eat donuts. I get in this craving for apples and peanut butter together.
That's a good combination, though. I've always remembered that when I was a kiddo.
It is a great one. The problem is you're not supposed to eat the entire jar of peanut butter.
Oh, yeah. You should probably dish it out first.
Dish it out. Jessica does that. She takes a little bit of the peanut butter and she calls it good. I don't think that's my temperament, so I'll have to probably work on that this year. Talking about temperament, I got the right guest joining me here today to talk about temperament, and the author of Free Medicine, The Blessing of Nondual Awakening. My very special guest today, Sufi teacher Elias Amidon, joining me on the show today. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about what is the idea of an open path, but most importantly, what is it that we look at in the world when we think about duality? But more importantly, why has Sufi mysticism, as I like to call it, made its way across the world? What is it about the Sufi way that many of us somehow along the way have stumbled upon and said, what was that? What did you just say? What was that poem about? And what is that message about? This is really kind of an interesting way when we find things in life that transcend politics, that transcend our personal views, that transcend, the many, many things that are happening. But what is it about this non-dual awakening that can be called into being today? And that's why I'm thrilled, to have Elias join us here today. Not just a spiritual teacher, a director, author, but somebody that has a sense of and is sharing a message about, what we can learn from the Sufi message. Elias, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
It's wonderful to be with you, Pat. I really appreciate your optimistic enthusiasm on a Monday morning.
Well, I want to start optimistically talking before we jump into this. Yeah. I want to talk about the idea of an open path. I want to have that conversation before we keep going over here, because even if folks don't know what that means, I think about an open path. And, in this culture in the United States, when we think about an open path, we think about the yellow brick road. In our culture, we have these things that we point to, right? And we think, aha, she's going to talk about the yellow brick road. Well, I don't know. But tell us about open path and what it has come to mean.
Yeah. Well, for me, first of all, I would say that in a way that open path is a contradiction in terms, in a sense, because if it's something is open. It has no boundaries, and it has no edges. And a path, typically, we think of it as having edges, going from here to there, and on a certain, route. So that very paradox is at the heart of this. We don't want to forget that quality of openness, and yet, my sense of and why I use the open path actually as an equivalent to Sufi way. It's just another way to put it, without the a lot of the baggage, let's say, that the word Sufi might carry with it. It's simply an open way, an open path, and it's actually all of us are on an open path. We don't know what's going to happen next, even though we might anticipate and sort of decorate the next moments of the future with our thoughts and so on. But actually, none of us know what's about to happen, and in our life as well. And to actually recognize that and open into the openness of the path of our lives allows us an intimacy with life that is not possible if we're in a kind of the narrow definition of an ism or a belief system of some sort, or simply our own anxiety about the future and need to control it. So this open path, of course, in Sufism, or in the way I speak of it, it also has a sense of inclusivity, so that we don't establish ourselves in our own identity as adherents of a particular ism or ideology, belief system, but we're open to them, that we can celebrate each place, that Sufis are, especially universal Sufis in the West, are quite happy to attend services in a Christian church or a Jewish synagogue or a Hindu temple. That because these are all ways in which humanity, in which all of our brothers and sisters are experiencing the sacred and approach it. And so that sense of inclusivity is a central part of what I think of as the open path. Have I said enough, or do you?
Yeah, no. What I love about this, and where we're going with this, is, back to the statement I mentioned before. It's interesting about how Sufism, let's call it, whether people know exactly what it is, and we're going to talk about that, exactly what it is. We know of people, we know of quotes, right?
Yeah.
We know of things about it, and yet we know very little, right? Yeah. And and the reason I say that is because we can find things that are totally in the mainstream by Rumi, let's say,
Sure.
right? And we're like, oh, okay, that's it. But we know very little about what that individual has come to believe. Yeah. So what is Sufism? Talk a little bit about it, and about its evolution to have so many powerful quotes that people all over the world know.
Yeah, and it is a good question. And let me just start by saying that Sufism is typically understood in most of the literature that you'll find as the mysticism of Islam, the mystic side of Islam, and that's fair enough. The vast majority of the literature is that, and the history of it is that way. But actually, Sufism existed before Muhammad, before Islam was established. It had they don't quite know for sure where the word came from, but often it's suggested that it comes from the Greek Sophia, or for wisdom. And it's basically the mystical exploration and desire and expression of humanity prior to Islam, and it flowed through Islam and took on. There are great Sufi masters. Rumi is one of many, and poets who have formed a vast body of mystic exploration and expression. In about 100 years ago, the man who brought Sufism to the West, his name was Inayat Khan, and he was an Indian Sufi, a Muslim Sufi. He came to the West, and in a sense, he freed it from being exclusively Islamic. That's how he did it. And he developed a universal Sufism, an understanding that it is this mystic impulse in all of us, in the human being, and that we can bow to the wisdom that comes through Islamic Sufism, but also appreciate and experience and be open to the mysticism of Buddhism, of Christianity, etc. And that's universal Sufism, which is part of our lineage, the lineage of the Sufi way. And so in that sense, it's non-sectarian, because we don't have just one religious narrative that we refer to. I'm as much a Buddhist as I am a Muslim, or a Christian as much as I am anything. So this is, in that sense, I have to, the way I speak about Sufism is quite a bit different from if you're reading, the great masters of Islamic Sufism, although I read them all the time and I'm steeped in it. But it's more, it's this sense of, well, my teacher describes Sufism with three characteristics. He says it's inclusive, as I've already said. It's experiential. That is, it seeks to have it really privileges direct experience rather than a lot of talk about the mystical experience. It seeks direct experience. And it's the third is that it's non-definitive. That is, it doesn't have it's not really an ism, actually, as I experience it. It's not an ism. It's not a fixed ideology or religion in that sense. It's religion maybe in the sense of our very, if religion is our desire to open into the truth of being and the ease and freedom of being, then it's a religion. But it's not a religion in the sense of, okay, now I believe this and this and this. There are no fixed beliefs in that regard in the Sufism that I come from and teach. It's more a, what could I say? At the heart of it, it's clear, fresh wakefulness of being, of presence.
Yeah. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what the invitation here is. When we look at this, why are so many people intrigued by words of Rumi? But more importantly, what really separates us on the inside? And how can we achieve that non-dual awakening? That's what this book is about, and we've got copies of it to give away. When we come back, we're going to talk about free medicine, meditations on non-dual awakening. Why is this important? And how is this the pathway to peace within? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
brand consultant Jen Morgan is here with Radically Distinct Radio to help you take control of your future and maximize your brand's power to produce results. Whether you're an individual trying to reinvent yourself and launch a new venture, or you're an executive trying to reposition your company to modernize your sales and marketing programs, Jen Morgan and the RAD method empower you to play to your strengths and show up in the world as your most powerful brand. To learn more, go to jenmorgan.com. That's Jen with 2 N's Morgan.com, or call 206-972-5366.
Tune in to the Angels and Answers Psychic Radio Show with clairvoyants Artie Hoffman and Sky Siegel every Thursday for a 2-hour show, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio. Artie and Sky deliver spiritual and motivational messages with passion and a sense of humor. Call in 800-930-2819 for live and on-air readings. Visit artiehoffman.com and skyofangels.com.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Beyond being this amazing neurologist, inventor, author, Dr. Dan Cohen has been called to look at technology and look at personal and spiritual development and merge these together. His technology uses the healing and psychospiritual effects of synchronized sounds, vibrations, electromagnetic fields, and how that interacts with us in our nervous system in what we're calling the Soltec chair.
The Soltec Lounge induces profound levels of relaxation that transition over time into deep meditative states. The synchronized sound, vibration, and magnetic field induce these states. The subject doesn't have to work at it.
To learn more, go to soltecwellbeing.com. That's SOLTEC Wellbeing.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm so thrilled to have Elias Amidon joining me here today. You know, Elias, the book Free Medicine, Meditations on Nondual Awakening. I think before we jump into this incredible book, many folks have a sense of what non-dual means, but many of us may not. And I think we have a perspective about duality in the world, what we're supposed to believe, what we're not supposed to believe, and the complete confusion. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about, what you say in the very beginning of the book, and can I read it?
Sure.
You say, this book is a companion for those whose deepest desire is to experience firsthand the good news at the heart of reality. This good news is not hidden. It's revealed in the ceaseless spontaneity of the present moment, but opening to a direct experience of it requires a process of self-erasure that can be difficult to allow. I love that you made this an invitation, and I want to start out by having that conversation with you about duality, non-duality. How is this something that we want to get really up close and personal with?
Close and personal.
Up close and personal. Yeah.
I like that. We can't help but the way our minds work, and we're really well tooled for experiencing duality. That's how we're formed in our brains and the way that our language is created and our brains work, our minds work. So even when we say words like non-duality and duality, we've already split it into duality. And, as if there's non-duality over here and duality over there, and they're different. We have to struggle right there with this tendency of our way of seeing things and breaking things into two. Non-duality literally means not two, not divided. And it's so we're well tuned to perceive duality everywhere. That is, you're over there, I'm over here, that's up, that's down. This is good, this is bad. There's future, there's past. So we have these polarities basically, and that's how things are. That's how we see. Now, non-duality is simply saying that yes, this is all how we're perceiving it, and let me just use that word, and. Because it's an and, isn't it? It's and at the same time spontaneously, and it is non-dual. This whole that all of we are just seeing through the filter of our dualistic, apparatus here, our human bodies and our language, and so the path here is not to erase duality. It would be impossible anyway. We're not trying to just go into pure, continual space of no difference. That would be kind of, we couldn't do it. We'd have to die. We'd have to die. I mean, that's what we'd have to shed these forms. And then, my sense is, who knows, but my sense is that we then become completely open to to this clear light that is non-dual. But the point here is that not recognizing the non-dual ground of being, let's call it, or the pure presence of awareness that is shot through everything, that all of our sense of duality is actually, it's a display of the non-dual. It's a display of light. And this light is completely one. We're all of this clear presence. And it's not just here. We can spin off into a lot of beautiful words about a kind of mystic realm, but it isn't really a realm somewhere else. That's the beauty of this recognition. It's right here, right now. Yeah. Absolutely coincident with the duality that we experience. And to be able to, as Rumi says, to see the one world with two eyes, the one world of non-duality with the two eyes of duality, that frees us. That frees us from all of the angst that we get when we get caught into the dualistic experience. So it's simultaneous. It's simultaneously dual, not dual. I don't know if I've made anything clearer here, but
here's what you've made clear is, and I've looked at this. I'm very fortunate, Elias. I'm very fortunate that I've grown up on both the East Coast and have been able to experience spirituality and religion there. And now I'm in the Pacific Northwest. And I don't know if you know about the Pacific Northwest in the United States, but here's the deal. Survey says that if you're living over here, you are the least religious people in the country, and the most spiritual. Now, that survey came out. That was a survey done nationally, and people over here got it. Most of the other people that looked at the survey, especially my friends in New Jersey, right, a family on the East Coast, all up and down the East Coast line, they, at one point, one of my relatives said, so are you communist? And I thought, I'm speechless. I'm Dr. Pat, and I'm telling you right here, Elias, I'm speechless. And what that said to me was, I need to be very clear for myself about what I believe in. First of all, I don't believe in labels. That's a survey, right?
Right.
Here's the question I like to talk to you about when we come back, and it's in your book. What is it about what you've written here that allows us to show up, right? Not only as the best that we can be, but whatever that is, know that we are much more than that. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. I love this conversation. Hey, you all, you want to chime in? 1-800-930-2819, 1-800-930-2819. And Mr. Benny, let's give a copy of the book away. When we come back, we'll be talking with Elias about that. And how do we ring the chime of peace in our own hearts first? We'll be right back.
I thought love was only true in fairy tales, meant for someone else but not for me. Love was out to get me.
Hi, this is Leslie Fontaine. Have you ever tried to just shift your present moment experience? Do it now. Just move your energy in a direction and watch what happens. Often we panic at the blocks that come up and we just stop. But today, try not to do that. Continue from your heart or solar plexus to shift in that new direction, whether it's in the middle of an argument, in the middle of some depression you're feeling, or some discouragement. What happens for you as you do that? The opportunities are amazing. Just hold that space. If you're ready to shift into your best life, visit me at lesliefontaine.com and let's talk about unfolding all that you want to be, do, and have. You'll find sessions, classes, audio products, all to help remove the blocks and move you into your potential. And listen to my show, Sheer Alchemy, on Transformation Talk Radio, Wednesdays at 10 Pacific and 1 Eastern.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Dr. Bree Gibbs is a fourth-generation high priestess with the knowledge to raise your vibration in conscious creation, offering a wide variety of services from goddess light and shamanic healing seminars to private reading sessions. Bree works with you so you too can stand in your own power. Isn't it about time you took your life into your own hands? For more information about Bree's services and products, visit silvergaia.net. That's silvergaia.net.
Sky Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers, with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com. Get into it for 2016. Do you want more prosperity, clarity, energy, and balance in your life? Join Lynn Brown now for one of her amazing workshops, each focusing on a key part of living your best life. For more information and to register for one of these amazing workshops, visit lynnbrownevent.com. That's lynnbrownevent.com. And get into it this 2016 with Lynn Brown.
And then I saw her face. I'm a
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's so great. Man, I'm telling you, Elias is joining me here today. And, as I said before, we would love to give you a copy of the book, Free Medicine, Meditations on Non-Dual Awakening. Elias, before we kind of get back to our conversation, because it's a juicy one, how can people find out more about you and what kind of events are you going to be doing here?
Well, the easiest and the most thorough is the website. Easiest way to remember it is sufiway.org. One word, sufiway.org. And that'll have it's got a lot of writings of mine on there and all sorts of programs that are occurring. There is one coming up in the Northwest, up on Whidbey Island at the Whidbey Institute, and it's mentioned in there. In fact, it's called Free Medicine. So it's a 3 or 4 day, I don't know, I can't remember, program up on Whidbey. So everyone's most welcome to come.
Right. Right. Tell us a little bit about what's going to happen during that event. I just first of all, for me, I'm just really, really fascinated about it and about this work. And I'm a girl from the Bronx, so I have to just say this to you for a minute.
Yeah.
This whole conversation, when I woke up this morning and I said, wow, I'm really going to be talking about, I call it Sufism, but it's really Sufism, right? I'm going to be talking to somebody about this. I may even talk about Rumi. And I have to pinch myself to say, how does this even happen to somebody like me, right? And so tell us a little bit about the doors you're going to be opening and the invitation in the upcoming event you're going to be doing.
Oh, well, it's not really. I can't say one thing is going to happen because it's very spontaneous. On the other hand, we dive into all of this, and we really try to go, as I mentioned earlier, to direct experience, and we'll use do a lot of pointing out. We'll do some silence. We do music. We have a form of slow motion dance, which helps to get this in the body and free the body up from its kind of habits. A lot of the time, or a good bit of the time, we do inquiry, which in a way is a very gentle way of exploring our assumptions and presuppositions and sort of letting them go. And it's, this whole business of awakening to non-dual reality or enlightenment or God consciousness. We've been hyped for a long time that enlightenment is something only very special people, who say their mantras for 20 years or 16 lifetimes get to be enlightened. And that's unfortunate. Enlightenment or awakening to pure presence, it's our birthright. It's what we are. It's already here. So in a sense, it's very simple. And that simplicity, and that it's right here, right now, is it's what makes it so difficult. It's what the Tibetans say, it's so close you can't see it. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's so simple you can't believe it. Yeah, it's so close. It's closer than your jugular vein. This is a Sufi phrase. So we're really inviting ourselves to relax, to stop our continual self-talk and self-definition of what I am and you are and what's happening, and just relax into the timeless present. And then we get this, then if we're lucky, and it's a matter of grace, really, we can put ourselves in the way of it, as a Sufi master said, but then you open, and then you wait. And if you're lucky, if there's grace, you'll get. Usually, it starts with little glimpses, and that's what happens to my students and at these kind of programs. There'll be a glimpse, and it may last only a second or 5 seconds, and then what we do is then we just invite this again and again through your life to do it. My sense is that all of us have, at some time in our lives, had these glimpses. It's not, no one owns it. Sufism doesn't own it. No mystical tradition owns this heritage of pure presence that we arise from, this light of being. And so it's this kind of gentle but very persistent and pointed opening into this pure presence of awareness, which is right now, right here amongst us. And that's freeing and brings an ease into our lives and a intimacy with life and with what we're doing. That's quite different from leading let's call it an ego-driven life.
Wow. I mentioned this before, and yes, one of the books is already gone. Let's give another book away, Benny. I think that would be great. 1-800-930-2819. Free Medicine, Meditations on Non-Dual Awakening. Before the break, I was talking about, I opened the book and I said to you during the break that I got here and I had to read one of the chapters in the books at least 3 times. But I believe there are 2 of these that are together, the Eros of non-duality and seeing the one world with 2 eyes. And I was really struck by these. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just read this for a minute. Even though the essential nature of reality is non-dual, and you say in parentheses, literally not 2, not divisible, we humans experience the world with the 2 eyes of duality. It's because we have the ability to conceptualize. Even to say the word non-dual is to conceive conceive dualistically. This is what you and I were talking about. And again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I really did have to go back and read this several times because I don't think I'm different than anybody else listening to the show. I've had to look for meaning in my life. I've had to look for meaning about growing up in the neighborhood I grew up, having a mom that committed suicide, being homeless at 17, and not from the place of telling a sob story about it, but what was it that I was meant to learn along that pathway? And so what I want to ask you is, there is obviously a pathway. And I would love to ask you, how do we reconcile this? How do we reconcile the fact that just by saying the word non-dual, we have to understand, we have to step into dualistic concepts?
Yeah, we do. And this opening, in a sense, this is it's for those of us who are drawn, let's say, to this direct experience of reality, or there's usually it's people, and there's not one type, but usually it's people who, when they were young, especially as children, they naturally had these experiences of, let's say, indivisibility, of interdependence, of connection, of a numinous, holy sort, and then since then they've done their lives and gotten all involved in the relative world, and yet these profound experiences as children begin to cause them to long for recognizing it again and inviting it into the very way in which they live their lives. So that's usually who shows up. I would imagine that most of the folks who are, if they've stayed on this program for this period, have something of that intuition, the intimation of there's something that I remember, but what is it? At the heart of things, and that's what this is all about: the open path, or recognizing the non-dual nature of all being. So, I might have steered away a little bit from your question, which I didn't mean to, but
I think what it does is, I think it's an illusion, if I might say. I think it's an illusion to say that we don't have both sides of us going on. And I made a statement like this on one of my Facebook or Twitter pages, and I think my team here is wishing that I go back to not posting anything, just stay away from everything. But I'm not going to do that. But one of the things that I think I said was, what if there was a little bit of each of the 4 candidates that ran in each of us? What if we weren't just one or the other? And the reason I said that is probably because I studied psychology for like a lot of years and studied the consequences of broken promises. And sometimes when we hear things that are the most horrific things we hear out in the world, we react to them, I think, because somehow deep inside of us, there's a part of that. And whether it brings up fear or whether it brings up love is really what we have to deal with. Your book is really talking about, in my words, a place of peace that we can get to, regardless of what things in the outside world bring up for us.
Right.
When Malala Yousafzai was shot, and we forget her. Yes, she did win the Nobel Peace Prize, but when she was shot, the world cried. But when she went on to live, the world cheered. And as time goes on, we almost forget why we cried and why we cheered. And I wonder how your message can help us remember and stay true to the pathway forward.
Well, you spoke of this place of peace, or let's say a way of peace. And I like that word. It does sound. Let's use it. And in a sense, all of this that you've just mentioned, and all of the things that we experience in our lives, these are. Let's take a meta position and look at it as these are the contents of awareness, right? I mean, and they're ever changing, and they're complex, and they're multi-layered. And this is what we experience right now. Even our sensations of our bodily presence right now, and the gravity that that aches in our bodies, or whatever, and the sound in our ears right now. And all of this is the contents, let's put it, of awareness. Now, because if there was no awareness, if we weren't aware, well, none of this would show up, right? So what is this? This is the part of the inquiry. What is this awareness? And when we try to look at it, we use our minds to look at it as if it was an object. We can't find it. I mean, you can try it. Try to find awareness. Try to look as if you turned 180 degrees and looked back at what's looking. And what is looking? Is what's looking from your eyes and what's looking from mine, is there any difference? I mean, what's there? Well, you can't even see it. You can't see it. That's what I mean. It's so close you can't see it. It's so simple you can't believe it. And this, let's say, utterly clear, utterly present, because it's totally present, right? Awareness. I mean, it's there's no place it isn't.
Right.
Then that's a key. That's a little bit of an open window here into what I'm pointing to, which is this: the ground of being is awake. It's totally awake. We can't even find, in our own awareness, try to find an edge to it. You can't find an edge. Curiously, and this is a leap, and it's going to sound like a belief, but the whole show here is awake. That is,
Yeah.
Oh, it's awake forever. That's the nature of reality. It's all awake. It's not just a private thing inside Pat or inside Elias. It's I'm not generating awareness, this awakeness. It's the very nature of reality. And our bodies are these magnificent instruments of sensation that can pick up all this vast array of data. But the awareness, as if it was a thing. It's not a thing. It's the ground of being. We can say 100 words about it, but they don't quite get it because the word makes it into an object. That's the magic of this. We already are this that we're seeking.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
but I think that's really talking to what I was saying.
Yeah.
Is that, someone made a statement to me a number of years ago and said something to me that I didn't agree with at the time. And I don't know how I feel about it today. But what he said, we're all seeking emptiness. And I thought, what? And, I never really fully explored that, but it came up for me today, or actually over the weekend, as I was kind of reflecting on, what do I believe? What does Pat believe? What does the network stand for? But, who am I outside of the network? What do I believe? Yeah. And am I going to be permitted to be who I am? And, all of these questions, and I remember that quote from him, about we all seeking emptiness, right? We're all and I thought to myself, I think that another way to look at that is emptiness may be seeking emptiness to rid ourselves of all of the thoughts, all of the feelings, all of the expression that keeps us small. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know, I don't really know what that comes to mean, but in the book, you talk about many, many things here, but you do talk about the abyss.
Yeah. Well, this, the emptiness is a charged word for us, and it is. And it's, the Buddhists have a whole world around it, expression, and it's okay. It's a good enough word, but because it's so severe. But it's not as if we're this emptiness. I was just pointing out awareness. Yeah. Well, we can. Hey, awareness is empty, isn't it? If it were full of something, if it was blue or green or had furniture in it, then it would get in the way of, let's say, receiving or being awake to all of the phenomena that we experience. So, in a sense, yes, awareness is purely empty, and it's aware, but it's awake. And then I want to use other words here. Almost, it's pure potential. So it's, in a way, it's just the opposite of empty. Look what arises in emptiness. Without the emptiness, none of this diversity could show up. None of the phenomena that we experience. So it's these things are there isn't an emptiness without form, and there isn't form without emptiness. This is how it is. Now we started with kind of wondering about peace, and all we're doing is, as I used the word before, relaxing into this empty, clear, fresh, spontaneous here and nowness. And then all the confusion and complexity of life and the ups and downs and our pain and suffering and so on, it is, let's say, we're not caught. We're not caught, as I said before. We're not caught by this the implacability of our suffering, because it's each moment liberates itself. And I'm struggling here to express it because you have to.
Yeah.
You had to be there. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And yet it's not far from any of us.
Yeah.
Each thought we have, each fear we have, is actually spontaneously liberated. It really is. It's the thought we had 5 seconds ago is gone. And,
exactly.
And here, so we're in this fresh. You know, when I speak about fresh, open awareness, it's actually our birthright right now. It's not. We don't have to pray for 100 years. It's okay. It's right here, and it's so right here that that's what keeps us from it. We want to make it more complicated, and we want to put it out in front of us. Oh, if I say my mantras, you know, then do my practices, then I'll get to that place. So we've kicked the ball in front of us. But actually, the key word that I use often is relax into this. But it's a mystic relaxation. That's at the heart of it. Opening our heart, our mind completely, and then living. It's not as if we then go off and just live in this, Om Mani Padme, a very peaceful space. No, we engaged with the world. We respond, but our response then can be clean and sensitive, is a good word for this, and compassionate. It's the heart of compassion. When we open to the non-dual nature of reality, which is another way to say oneness, let's say, out of that recognition of the oneness, naturally comes compassion. It just is. We care. It just happens. The whole thing is made out of love. You could use that word, and because it's all this gift, the gift of this present moment. And we live in a complex and messy world, and full of suffering and our own fears and anxieties about the future. If we relax into this pure presence, then you're right. Then we can see what arises, all that arises. We can hold it in let's say, the love of our hearts.
Yeah.
I have to kind of fall back on these words because they're not big enough, actually, to describe.
They're not.
To describe this living completely awake and fresh and open. To me, that's enlightenment. Enlightenment isn't a destination somewhere. It's continuous. It's a continuous, continuous awakening. That's what the whole universe is doing, and we're just getting with the program here.
Yeah, isn't it a destination where you realize that you've already arrived?
That's
something to chew on, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, enlightenment, a destination where you realize you've already arrived.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I know. Wow. It's so great to have you here. Please tell folks again when you're going to be coming to Pacific Northwest and also how they can find out more about you. And thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Pat. It's been a pleasure. And the website, we'll have it all on there. SufiWay.org is the easiest way to get to it. It has the list of all upcoming programs. There's a lot of them in Europe and scattered around the U.S., and more shows up. And I would recommend, if you're interested in these things, to sign up on our mail list there on the homepage, because then you'll get, once in a while, we won't clutter your inbox, but once in a while you'll get updates of what's happening, and I send out once a month notes from the Open Path, which actually this book had its genesis in. So those are once a month small short essays. So openpath.org, and that program up at Whidbey Institute is, I think it starts February 9th. It's I think it's 4 days, 3.5 days.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. Wow, Benny, thank you for pushing all the right buttons. I'm Dr. Pat. For more information about us, go to the drpatshow.com or go to transformationtalkradio.com. And as a matter of fact, we've got another hour coming up on transformationtalkradio.com. And by the way, those of you that do want to keep sending me your emails and you don't want to go through social media, info at thedrpatshow.com, and I do reply. We'll see you next time.
Lights go out and I can't be saved. Tides that I tried to swim against pulled me down upon my knees. Oh, I beg and plead, singing, come out of things unsaid. Shoot an apple off my head and a trouble that can be.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.